Greetings from a social distance. Howdy, folks. I figured I'd start early tonight because I'm not aggravating anybody at 3 a.m. playing the bass into a camera, but it would be more considerate of me to work a little earlier. Last night at 11:30, my next door neighbor was wondering, "What are you up to over there? Everything okay?" Anything, everything is okay, and I'm glad I got neighbors that are wondering whether I'm out of my mind or not. I'll keep them wondering. At any rate, welcome, fellow sufferers. We're back again in the sensory deprivation isolation chamber atop Gilmore World headquarters here on Long Island. I'll be specific, Suffolk County. If you know me, you know where I live. Otherwise, piss off. Anyhow, so I stopped buying new instruments because who can afford it? You know, honestly, in my precision bass, because I worked for the company, it didn't cost me $200 brand new, 1970, with a gig bag, not without that barn door case, which is just. I drove sports cars, and there was no way I was getting that 4x8 bass case into them. So gig bags have been my friends forever. At any rate, I'm going to close up the Thunderbird section of this presentation. I have two left. One of them is an Epiphone Goth, which is basically a bolt neck Epiphone Thunderbird in flat black. You need to see it, text me, alright, because it's just a flat black Thunderbird. Great for Halloween parties. I wore it at one in the middle of the week. I did the gig on Sunday in the middle of the week. People are going, "Where were you, man? You weren't there with your precision bass or your jazz bass or your other shit." And I was also in costume, but there's people who probably still think I wasn't there. But you know what? Okay, whatever. Anyhow, we used to play live in the lobby. Christopher Capobianco, that was his baby, I believe. Enjoyed the hell out of it. It was a nice, intimate, maybe 100 people crowd. I'm looking forward to maybe hooking up somehow and getting into the new one, which is on the loading dock. I would really enjoy that one. At any rate, my band, Cheap and Dirty, we signed up to do a Pete Townshend tribute. Now, you don't do a Pete Townshend tribute without doing a Who connection of some sort. I was buying junk parts from this dismantler. I bought a Thunderbird neck, I bought a Thunderbird body, and I bought this. When Ray Dietrich of General Motors designed this guitar, this is the bass, he designed the original. Okay, it works. He designed the original Thunderbird, this body shape. What I did was I made it more of a Who thing, because everybody knows the pop band that was the Who back in the 60s. Everybody knows them. I mean, they were trendsetters, style monsters. They did all kinds of things, that hadn't been done before. It appealed to a largely male audience, too, which was kind of weird, but, it's rock and roll. What are you going to do? Wow, these tuners need a wrench. Jesus crumbs, this thing is going to hurt. I don't believe these have been turned since the last century, honestly, and I haven't. Okay, what these tuners say they can do, they really don't do low E's, or low B's, or any low strings for that matter. Alright, I think we're in tune here now. Sorry, it's always been my thing. Get on stage tuned, don't get out there and tune in front of the audience. They don't give a crap. makes it different than any Thunderbird in the history of Thunderbirds. The pickups. These are Epiphone EB3 pickups with complete with the wiring, with the controls. This is not paint. This is actually duct tape. This was a quickie job. I had to get on stage with that kind of thing. You could see the back. It took me like 2-3 weeks to get all the finish off this body. Tough stuff they're using, but I did it. John Nicholson was a big influence on me. I learned as much as I could of his because my hands as a teenager were not really like his. His were amazing fast thunder fingers, they called them. But it was a blast for me to build this and play his music because it was just tremendous stuff, you know. Oh, the other thing I added on here was this is a hip shot. Super contact bridge. This thing bolts on in place of the 3-bolt ridiculous Gibson bass bridge, which has served them well for years. I mean, I have a case against Gibson. If they need a bass, what they do is they just pull the neck off, throw a body underneath it, and put a short scale neck on it and send you on your way. That's really not competing with anybody. This bass was a departure. Like I said, Ray Dietrich. He was a car designer. He worked for General Motors. He designed the original Firebird show car. And this. I don't know if he had anything to do with the other ones, the non-reverse. Concrete Blonde, my favorite girl bass player, Johnette Napolitano. They've come, they've gone. They've made an impression on me. And Tom Peterson from Cheap Trick. I think he quit Cheap Trick to hang with her, but... And I don't know if you've seen Cheap Trick, but when you go to see Cheap Trick, Tom Peterson, their bass player, actually puts his 12-string down after a while and comes back with a 4-string Thunderbird and plays a tune or two on those. I imagine it's just out of exhaustion because I played those 12 strings. They are brutal. They are brutal. I ground picks down to dust working against those 3-string courses, man. It was really tough. But we've gotten around that here. We're building for me. I've never had the Varitone switch actually explain to me in depth, but the Varitone switch is not this. This Epiphone one is a pickup selector. So, and essentially it does the same thing as a Varitone. It's just not as varied. It's, you know, it's a fix, and it's easy to do for Epiphone because you can get in and out of here without being copyright infringing. You see me using the Entwistle typewriter, not to the same effect that he uses. His is much more. He's much more detailed and intricate with it. But I learned to play listening to The Who on a record player in my basement in Merrick. I had no videos. I had no instructional things to show me how he actually. I had to do it by ear. And I found out if you do this, it's not the same as doing. So here I am in the dark of a basement learning how to play these bass lines and figuring out that the way to get that sound was to strike the string like a piano hammer. Or a typewriter. And it was good ear training because you didn't have the videos to watch. It was silly, you know. At any rate, I'm over my 10-minute limit. If you have any questions, be sure to contact me either on YouTube or Facebook. This is a disclaimer. Verbally, this was intended for family fare, but it's not made for children. That was a requirement of the site that I'm using to post this. So, a little disclaimer action there. Until then, be safe, be well. I heard New York's coming around the corner right now, so I'm still not leaving the house, and it's really starting to drag on me. I'm in Toyland here, and I just can't think of anything to do. At any rate, we'll be back with more and more unusual stuff coming up, all right? Have a nice night, folks. Be well.